Hi, I'm Anthony, and welcome to my channel. Right now, I'm not sure what the channel's name is because this is my first video. I think Greens to Growth Garden is what I'm going to call it. And right now, we don't have a ton of equipment. I'm just using an iPhone and a selfie stick. I never thought I'd get a selfie stick ever in my life, but I'm starting this channel for myself, really. To sort of keep tabs on progress on myself for both the garden, but also on me personally, on my health and my weight. You know, my whole life I've been an overweight person. Less so at times and more so in others. More so in the last few years. Just steady been, you know, gaining weight and not doing a whole lot about it, but really kind of claiming that I was. At times doing stuff, but not really too terrible, drastic changes. But so as you get bigger and bigger, sort of. Oh, my cat just jumped up. I don't think the cat's used to me talking to a contraption like that. Yeah, my health has just not been great. I've not felt good. You know, maybe I haven't been sick per se, but I just haven't felt good. I've been achy and stuff like that. At times just in pain, but it's not really blaming it on anything other than just, oh, I slept wrong, or can't be what I'm eating or what I'm not eating, that sort of thing. In the last few weeks, I had a bit of a health crisis, scare. The two things that I have, well, three. So I'm overweight, I have high blood pressure, and I'm got like sporadic apnea. And that hasn't been a super problem. Every once in a while I'll have I'll wake up and I can't breathe or whatever. My wife will tell me, hey, you're not breathing, she'll wake me up. But it's not been like a conscious problem for me. It's been a problem for somebody else, right? But I had a couple of episodes where I was really not breathing well in the night. And a few weeks ago, I put on a bunch of weight. And I'm really not thinking about how the more weight I have on me, the more prevalent the apnea is. I should have been, but I wasn't. But a few weeks ago, at the height of my weight, I had a couple of nights where in the middle of the night, I couldn't breathe, right? I couldn't sleep because I was afraid I was gonna die because I kept just gasping for air. It was pretty terrifying. And it was very, very stressful, and it was probably 2 full nights where I got maybe 15 minutes of sleep. And by the third day of not sleeping, you're just going crazy, right? It's very, very, very stressful. Well, and that was a few weeks before. But then it got a little better. I wasn't having that big of an issue. I started to change my diet a little bit at that point, and took off a few pounds, and immediately, saw an improvement. But then I developed shingles, right? So, which, as I've since doing some research on that, 40% of adults, at least of any generation before the one now that has the vaccine, 40% of adults can expect to have shingles occur in their life. I did not know that. Well, I'll tell you this, and it's stress related, right? So I had this event of stress, and then bam, stress related illness pops up on my body, and it is no joke. shingles are no joke. I mean, it is painful. Um, and I'm still dealing with that now, several weeks later. Well, in the midst of that, I decided I'm making a change because I can't have this. I gotta, uh, I gotta have a healthy life, and I gotta be around for my kids, right? So I went to what has been classically a very healthy way for me to lose weight. But instead of seeing it as a way to lose weight, I want to see it more as a life change, right? Apparently my body wants to eat a certain way, and I need to listen to that. And that is to go towards a more a greens-filled, vegetable-filled and diet. I'm still eating meat, of course, because if you know me at all, I'm not going to give that up unless I absolutely have to. But my carbohydrates I've drastically changed, right? So I've really added sweet potatoes and different varieties of sweet potatoes to my diet. Some regular potatoes, and gluten-free pasta is in there. I think I have an issue with gluten. I know I have an issue with pasta. I don't know so much about bread, but I think everybody's different. My son very definitely has an issue with gluten. He has an issue with lactose, and since he's changed his diet, and he's very disciplined about it, he's a very good example for me. He's had drastic improvements, and I can, if it's going to make me feel better to eat certain things or not eat other things, then I need to be on board with that. So the way that I see this channel is as sort of a check on myself to say, hey, I'm doing the right things. Also to as a reminder of positive things that I've learned in the garden. Right now my garden's a mess. I don't want to even show you my garden, but it's right there in front of me. Because we just went on a week-long backpacking trip up in North Georgia, and it was day hikes. It was supposed to be backpacking, but I got the shingles, so I couldn't carry anything. And my family didn't want to carry an extra 50, 60 pounds. So I'm going to show you things in the garden, but what I want to do is, if this thing helps other people along the ride, then wonderful. I hope that it can be informative and inspiring. But it's really a vlog for me to remind myself of things that I have learned along the way, and to have a little fun while I'm doing it. So I've got two things that I want to demonstrate today. One of the things, I guess part of my goal with this is to turn all of my property into a food source of healthy, as organic as I possibly can be, food that is nutritious and medicinal, right? Stuff that's good for my body. It's good for my soul. Stuff that's going to make me feel good, just looking at it and also eating it. And I'm in Florida, and so I have a lot of opportunities for growing things. It's hot as heck here. It's not bad right now. It rained a lot last night. But it can be really hot. So we have a long growing season, and the opportunity to do what to grow food year round. And one of the things that I want to try to do is to implement permacultural practices. So grow things that are going to produce all the time, right? And then in conjunction with those things that are growing, you grow other things. So basically like a natural forest they call it a food forest in many instances. If you look that up online, food forest, you'll find all sorts of good videos on YouTube. But instead of pine trees and things that you don't necessarily want to eat, you got fruit trees and things that are going to be below those, berries and things like that, and below that you're going to have beans and peas and medicinal plants and greens, lots of greens. So one of the problems with greens in our traditional Western diet is that they don't like the heat at all. Lettuce does not like to grow in the hot, and we have a lot of hot here. Cabbages, we have a lot. They like the cold as well, but we have this long hot growing season. So what do you do? Well, a lot of the permaculturists bring in plants from other places. Longevity spinach, Okinawa spinach, Egyptian spinach, and these are all plants that are both edible and medicinal. Right? They're good for you for multiple reasons, and I'm going to cover those things when we get to those. One of the, as soon as you start looking at permaculture, especially in our zone and anywhere that's hot, you start talking about moringa. Moringa is a tree from India, I believe, originally, but it's grown all around the world in the tropics and subtropics. It's in many places a staple for the indigenous folks that live there. It's a tree that grows really fast, and it's super nutritious and tastes good, right? There's different products. So you can eat the leaves, you can eat the seeds, you can the beans they call drumsticks. You can eat almost the whole part of the bean. It's a big long. They call it a drumstick tree. They also call it a horseradish tree because the roots apparently taste like horseradish. I've also seen some mixed stuff that says don't eat the roots, but I've also a lot of stuff that says the whole tree is edible. But it grows really fast in the heat, and it's also a good fertilizer, right? So you can use it for yourself, you can eat it, you can feed it to your animals, and you can also feed it to your plants. And that's one of the organic practices that permaculture utilizes is chop and drop fertilization. So you grow plants to feed other plants, right? And you grow this tree, this wonderful big tree that you can eat, and then you can also, if you get too much of it, you cut off parts of it and put it where you want to feed other plants. And I don't have a list of the properties of moringa, but everything I've seen about it is, it's got more iron than spinach. It's got more, calcium than milk. It's got more vitamin C than oranges. It's got, it's all these, every single, nutrient that you can think of. It's got it, and it's got like more of it, and by more I mean like 4 or 5 times more than these other things. So it also has some medicinal properties. It has blood sugar controlling properties, right? So someone who is overweight, who might be, worried that, hey, I don't want to go over that, diabetic route. I don't have diabetes, thank God, but I want to keep it that way. I want to put things in my diet that will control that. It also has, it's like loaded with antioxidants, so it's anti-cancer. Some of the stuff I've read is that it helps with blood pressure. So again, that's one that's very important to me. Anti-inflammatory as well. Just tons and tons of stuff. It's a good food and it's great for you. And so, how do you eat it? Well, do I have any moringa on my property? No, not yet. I'm about to. I'm going to be growing some, but right now, for now, I have to order it, right? And it comes as a powder, right? See that powder? It comes in a bag, and I just put it in this because it's a good thing to store it in. And the taste is vegetable. It's a good taste. It's not a bad taste. It's got lots of fiber in it. But one way that I've found, two ways that I really like it, is just put it in some hot broth. Like a good turkey stock and bone broth, and you mix in a few teaspoons or tablespoon of moringa, and it makes this great soup. It's just like an instant soup that's like super nutritious and helpful for you. I'll just put it in water and have it like a tea. I have seen people mix it in with other things. You can just mix it in with your foods, and it sort of adds a vegetable flavor to it. It turns everything very green. And there's a flavor to it that's I think pleasant. The only thing that I found that I don't like it in is I mixed it in with some oatmeal. Oh my gosh, that was bad. It was just not. I mean, I ate it, but it was not good. So moringa, that's the very first thing I want to talk about. I have been consuming this for the last few weeks, and I'm telling you, my blood pressure's down a little bit. I've lost weight because I've changed my diet. But I've also added that, so I have to take that into account, and that's helping me lose weight. Since I started this journey, right now I'm down about 15 pounds, and I'm still headed down, and I want to keep it that way. So moringa has been a tool to help me do that. And if nothing else, then it's like a Dumbo's feather. Hey, I got to get my moringa. That's a part of my routine is to have my moringa, and it helps me remember to keep my diet the way it should be. But I genuinely think that there's something more to it than just Dumbo's feather. Now, so that's the first thing I want to talk about. Second thing is, when you start doing this permaculture thing in Florida, and I start talking about moringa or Okinawa spinach or longevity spinach or Egyptian spinach or callaloo, things like that. Where do you get that? Where do you get your callaloo? Do you just go to a store and buy some callaloo, or can you go to even Everman's Natural Food Co-op and get some longevity spinach there? No, it's nowhere to be found, right? And these are all plants that are really good greens that are very tasty, but also have medicinal properties, and grow well in the heat. So you have to order them, right? You have to buy. You either have to know people locally who have them and get some from them. You can't just go to a regular garden center and get some longevity spinach. They're not going to have it. They're not going to have the seeds. You can't go to your Home Depot and look in the seed rack with your sweet peas and your cucumbers and find longevity spinach seeds. And you know why? I mean, it's a very limited market, right? Not many people know about these plants and what they can do. And our diet is such that we don't emphasize these things. Plus, longevity spinach, you need to grow it from cuttings. It's not and you sort of have to know those things. So in my goal to switch our property and my garden to organic and permacultural food production, I've had to figure out where to get seeds and plants. And it's COVID-19, so I'm not doing a whole lot of reaching out to people locally. There are a few folks that do this stuff locally, and that's on my agenda. But for now, I'm just doing it on my own. And what was I saying? Oh. So there's two sources that primarily, there are three. There's seed companies. Baker Creek is one. They do a lot of normal kind of stuff. I'd say normal. Tomatoes and beans. They'll have unusual varieties of tomatoes and beans. They have great stuff. So the normal kind of things, but just a little, bit off from. It's not green beans. It's going to be rattlesnake beans or something, but not even necessarily rattlesnake beans. So there's seed companies, if you can find them, that have those things. There's Amazon and eBay. So my experience with buying seeds, getting plants on Amazon, I haven't been able to really find anything. And it's probably a good thing, because my experience with seeds on Amazon has been abysmal. It takes forever. You don't necessarily know where they're coming from. Sometimes when I first started doing this months ago, I really started doing this in March in the lockdown, and it's now July 13th. I would order it and then find out, it's going to be a month or two before it gets there, and it's coming from like Kyrgyzstan or China, and you're like, oh man, maybe I got to pay attention to when it's coming. You start paying attention when it's coming, and you don't necessarily know exactly where it's coming from. And then sometimes they don't even come, and you've been waiting for so long to get your seeds, and they're not there, or they come and they're not exactly right. I ordered some mint early on, and it came from Kyrgyzstan, and it was peppermint that I ordered, and and what grew is a spearmint. Once it came, now I like it. it's a very tasty spearmint, but it's not what I ordered. So eBay is sort of hit or miss, or not eBay. Amazon is hit or miss, but eBay has been fantastic. So only with one exception, and I'm about to actually show it to you. When you order seeds, man, it's like bam, they're there, and they're exactly what you wanted, and in the exact numbers. And usually they'll throw in a little bit of extra stuff in there. And then plants. So I've ordered a lot of cuttings, and in later videos I'll show you some stuff. And they're almost always perfect. The only one I've had an issue with is moringa. So I ordered some moringa starts, some 5 plants, and they came from Penitas, Texas. And apparently, I don't know if this guy, usually when plants come, they'll come with a root ball that's very wet, wrapped in paper towels that are very wet, that are taped up really, really super well and held in, and then taped to the bottom of the box, and then some packing stuff's put in top of it. So it's like this, these little plants are going to be safe, and they're going to have enough liquid to get to you. Well, this is what I got from this guy in Penitas, Texas, for these 5. He just did that. And when I got them, they all were burnt up. And now he refunded the money, so that's at least good. But I have managed to coax a couple of these back to life. Two of them are going to survive. Maybe a third one. The other two are burnt up. So I'm a little disappointed about that. But I've got moringas alive, right? Moringas will grow from cuttings too, but finding those on eBay, they're a little bit pricey. So I wanted to get some seedlings. Hopefully, I'm going to have some nice trees on the property before it's over with. So there's your two lessons for the day. One for your health and one for the garden. Moringa is good for you. I highly recommend it. I think it's doing good things for me. And eBay, I think, is a better source for seeds and plants than is Amazon. And of course, the seed catalog folks are good as well, but for the more unusual things, you're going to have to go somewhere more unusual. So, well, that's it for my video today, and I hope that this has been informative, and I will see you next time.